Thanks for that, mate.
Can I say one quick thing?
You can. Go ahead,
just about this Lion Air crash in Indonesia today. I looked at the...
Very new plane, Tony. Very new plane, is that right?
That's right. Brand new aeroplane. I mean, we're not living in the 1950s with the Comet, where these planes are experimental and they might fall out of the sky. No, we're not. This aircraft is almost impossible for it to crash like this. Any pilot will tell you that if there was some sort of basic problem, he would have been able to put the plane down and safely on the water, and people would have been able to get out on the chutes, etc. So what on earth is going on here? I noticed in an article in the Jakarta Post that they had an audit team from the Foreign Ministry and Environment Ministry of the Indonesian government, and that the guy that runs the airline is actually, or he owns the airline, is actually an ambassador for the government, for goodness sake. So who knows what's going on here? It looks to me as if it might even be a way of getting rid of this audit team who were looking into the Indonesian government. But it certainly should not happen that a plane should crash like this. Any pilot would normally be able to put an aircraft down if they had some sort of serious failure in a reasonably safe fashion. So it's highly likely that this aircraft has been hacked and brought down deliberately. That's all I'd say.
That's really interesting, Tony. And a former guest on this programme, a very eccentric man, very eccentric, but I think a very brilliant man, Field McConnell, who's flown everything for the US Navy and flown every commercial jet. I'd be very interested to get his take on that. That's fascinating. I didn't consider that at all. I didn't know any of that. You've educated me.
I just looked into who's on board and having one of the main Indonesian government audit teams on board. Well, that's very handy that those guys. I mean, let's not forget who was on board Pan Am Flight 102 at Lockerbie. There was a whole CIA investigation team. A government investigation team that had been looking into CIA drug dealing in the Middle East. I mean, I did articles on the MH17 crash, the Ukrainian Malaysian airliner, and also the MH370, the one that so-called disappeared. Almost certainly was hacked and flown, or maybe using the military, speaking to the pilot to persuade him to fly to Diego Garcia. So that plane didn't disappear. It was just, I think, flown to a US airbase, and there were some people on board the MH370 who had some kind of high-tech military thing that they were talking about they wanted to sell to the Chinese military. And I imagine that the Americans might take an interest in that and say, well, that plane is not going to get to its destination. So I think we have to look at these sorts of slightly unexplained, mysterious crashes and look at the technology that's involved in being able to hack into and control these planes remotely, which is actually a pretty simple thing to do, rather worryingly. It
is indeed, mate. Cheers for coming back on, Tony. You know how much I love having you on, and I know you're very busy, so I appreciate it. The Politics Show, BCFM, thisweek.org.uk. Follow Tony on Twitter as well. I hope you come back real soon, mate. Thanks again.
God bless. Thanks for having us on again, Richie. Cheers.
It's an honour, mate. Cheers. I mean that. Tony Gosling, top man, live from Bristol there. Thisweek.org.uk is where you'll find out more about the Politics Show. If you haven't heard it before, it's a top listen. It really is.